We got game 7. Let's break down this series from your point of view. OKC is going to be at home with a little bit of a favorite, -3.5. Over under 212.5. Game 7, baby. What are we doing with this game?
Yeah, I mean, the home team's been -3.5 the last couple of games, whoever's been at home. So we've seen a pretty significant adjustment, a 7-point differential between the two home floors. I heard Gianni come on earlier and talk about how he had OKC's home court rated higher than San Antonio's. I've got San Antonio's home court rated the highest in the NBA, a little bit higher than OKC. So for what that's worth. That said, 3.5, 212.5/213, the prevailing number here. And for a 3-3 series that everyone's been waiting for all year with a double overtime thriller in game 1, the series has been largely non-competitive. The last 4 games all decided by 13 points or more, all, fourth quarters that weren't nail biters. And of course, the point spread was -3.5 or lower every time, just like it is in this ball game. Now, it's certainly worth noting that the Spurs, who can they compete with OKC? They haven't just been competing. They throttled the Thunder twice in the last 3 games, with OKC non-competitive in defeat. And they're doing it on defense. The 2 losses for the Thunder, 91 points, 82 points scored for OKC in those 2 defeats. They shot 37% from the floor in game 6, 25% from three-point range, and they only got to the free throw line last night 12 times. OKC did not get the whistles, and the Spurs had more than twice as many free throw attempts in game 6 as OKC did. So for all the flopping talk, it's been San Antonio who got the benefit of the calls in the last ball game. And SGA right now, the league's MVP, he can't score. The Thunder, when he can't score, the Thunder can't win. We look at the runs that OKC has given up. They gave up the 20-0 third quarter run in game 6. They gave up the 15-0 run to start the game in game 3. They gave up another monster run in game 4. All of those came in San Antonio. But it's worth noting that we've seen the Spurs be able to both shut down Oklahoma City for extended stretches and score on the offensive end for extended stretches 3 times in the last 4 ball games. Now, we talk about the history of Game 7s. What do we have? Well, road teams in the conference finals. How about this? 4-0 straight up the last 4 road teams in the conference finals. 6-3 straight up the last 9 in conference finals. So to say, just bet the home team Game 7, that hasn't been the case. And I thought Gianni said something really smart earlier. He said teams like OKC, when they don't close them out in Game 6, they haven't been winning Game 7. I thought OKC was very live to close them out last night. I thought they were live at halftime to close them out last night. And they came out in the third quarter and laid an egg. Jalen Williams returned to the lineup, complete non-factor. He played for 10 minutes, and OKC got outscored by 18 during that span. He had 1 point, 1 assist, and 2 turnovers. I don't know if we see Jalen Williams for any extended time here. And, it's a scenario for OKC with the rotation as deep as it is. Do you need Jalen Williams? How much playing time is he going to get? Is he a factor? If I'm looking for player props, I'd look at Williams under. Shea was -28 last night. And, -28 in their time on the floor. And he shot 33%, 37%, 40%, and 35% from the floor the last 4 games. He had only 3 free throw attempts in game 6 compared to 17 in game 5. If Shea can't score, OKC can't win. And the scary thing for OKC is that the Spurs weren't even insanely good in game 6. I don't know. I mean, Darren Fox certainly had a better game in him than the one we just saw. If I'm playing a side here, it could only be San Antonio. Let's talk about the total. Obviously, we had 241 points for game 5. The series was 4-1 to the over after game 5. And then Thursday night, the total was bet up at about 219.5. The Spurs did their part. First half went over, but OKC shut down after halftime, only 38 points after the break. The game stayed under. There were no late scramble points in game 6 either. And of course, those scramble points can be so key. If the game's within foul and three-pointer range and a team hits a three-pointer or two, you can get 10, 15, 20 points in the last minute or two of an NBA game versus last night where you got very few. Now, of course, the total 219.5 for game 6. What do we see for game 7? 212.5/213. So the markets have made a huge adjustment. The Spurs have proven they can slow down Oklahoma City. They have the number 2 defensive rating in the playoffs. The Knicks are number 1. Thunder number 5 in defensive rating. They've allowed 110 points per 100 possessions allowed in the series. This was a team that was the regular season defense efficiency champs. They were best at 106.5. You get up almost 5 points per 100 possessions more, again, this series and in the postseason than they did in the regular season. So the Thunder's defense has not been as good. The Spurs were number 3 in the regular season, and they've been number 2 here in the postseason. They've been phenomenal defensively. The Knicks have been better. Now, note the adjustment. The Cavs-Raptors, that first round game 7 is worth noting here because the whole series was totaled 218, 219, 220. Game 6 was 218.5, and then game 7 was 209.5, and they finished 114, 102, 216, which would have stayed under, but the markets made the big adjustment to game 7. We've seen the markets make a big adjustment to this game 7 as well. That being said, since the last 20 plus years, game 7s, as the playoff progressed, conference finals or finals, game 7s 12-1 to the under, going under by an average of more than 15 points per game. And that's a sample size of more than 20 years. Now, it's not for the early rounds of the playoffs. It's only good for the conference finals and the finals. But when these teams have been in the postseason for extended stretches, the unders have been moneymakers in these game 7 situations. So Spurs plus and under is what I'm looking for in this one. Andy?
Nothing's better than a game 7, so I'll be very excited. So what do you have up for everybody at Friday?
Single best bet in MLB for tonight. We have a top total report that's going to fly over in a what should be a slugfest. And, of course, we're locked and loaded with my best bet for Spurs Thunder. Look at that. Spurs Knicks. I already said Spurs Thunder for Saturday night. You can get that on my homepage. There it is right on the screen, wg.buzz/TC.